faces on paper, curled at the edges, names said once and swallowed by time. Rooms went quiet, streets moved on. Something about this never died. Cold hands on cold files, dust where the truth should be. Every lie leaves a footprint, every monster bleeds eventually. For the missing that never came home, for the cases they tried to forget, for the killers counting days in the dark, thinking they're done with that. We keep digging, keep the light on.
Hello everybody, happy Monday night. My name is 12 Gauge. Welcome to my channel. I've been trying to mess with this lighting, trying to mess with the controls, everything and anything. I thought I'd go live tonight just to come in and hang out with people, not really talk about true crime, even though that is my channel forte, is talking about true crime, talking about certain avenues that happen in life, investigating the investigative type of things to report. If you haven't seen it, go check out the Texas Killing Fields with myself and my friend Joy. Hopefully we get to do a lot more of those as time permits in both of our schedules. Hopefully we'll be able to travel and do a lot of different things. I guess tonight I can show you a little bit if you haven't seen it already. It was a lot of fun doing it. It was a lot of fun. To be out there with a video camera and a cell phone, and to be out there just shooting footage to be later looked through. And for the most part, I put it on raw. You know what I mean? It was raw. There was very little editing going on because A, I'm not that great of an editor, and B, I just wanted to keep the experience as fluid as possible, because you know what? Sometimes things get so tapered down that you miss the whole experience. And I'm going to play a little bit of it for those of you that have not seen it. So let me get to that page. I was live on the YouTube thing, but I didn't know how to do it. So I just kind of came over here. You know, sometimes you go with what you know, and that's what I did. Hey, Bullets, how you doing? Nice to see you in here. An old familiar face. I appreciate that. And I'm going to show this because, like I said, it was a lot of fun. And if you've never experienced what these killing fields are about, I'm going to tell you, it was such an experience. And I'm going to have Joy on probably sometime this week to be able to discuss this with me, but I'm going to go ahead and talk about it and show you a little bit, because like I said, it's raw and it's pretty unedited, so it skews the camera work and everything else that goes along with it. And one other thing, for those of you that were members and you know, we're having memberships or whatever, I'm kind of over the monetization stuff, so I canceled it today. So if you notice that you're no longer a monetized person in my channel, that is why. Because I'm really done with YouTube and all the crap that they give me. It seems like on a daily, so at least this way I get to do what I want for the most part, and they still get their money regardless. Here we go. Hello, my name is 12 Gauge, and this is 12 Gauge Investigative. I just picked up my friend Joy, and we're on our way out to League City to do a live on the killing field. She's currently getting some goodies. So we're at some random convenience store waiting. Like I said, I wish Joy would have been able to be out here with me, and we'll probably go over this a little bit more on the killing field part, but I want to show you, because she was more in that video footage than here. She's about to pop in. I'm about to tell you a little bit about the killing field. If you know nothing about this case, it was between the years of 81 and 93, and there was over 30 bodies found in this stretch of land, so here we go. Just waiting for her to show up. I feel like I'm documenting one of those movies, where like they document stuff and then something bad happens. I hope that doesn't happen in this scenario. She brought along a taser, and we have a flashlight, a bat looking thing. I think everything will be all right. If you know anything about this case, you know that there was a heightened area where the killing started in 83 to 91. And some of the young girls that were initially abducted were abducted from a convenience store. And hopefully I'll be able to find that. And I'll be able to show you exactly where the convenience store was. There was two of them that were abducted. One was Laura Miller, and the other one was, I believe her name was Colette Wilson. And yet another one, her name was Heidi. So I made some mistakes in this because I was kind of nervous, doing this for the first time. But the individual's name that I just talked about, Heidi, her name is Heidi Faye, or Heidi Faye. And that was one of the ones that was abducted at the service station that you're going to see here in a minute. So here we go. Heidi Freitag or something like that? Heidi Frey or something? Well, anyways, Heidi was abducted from the same convenience store a year before Laura Miller. And they were both using the same payphone. And we will definitely get there. So, like I said, I'm just waiting on my friend to come out. And we will get on the road. Hopefully it's not too dark when we get there. I can't see myself on the camera, so I don't know if I'm showing up or if I like cut half of my face off or whatever, but I'll be sure to see this. And the thing about being on camera at a scene like this, it's so freeing that it gives you an insight of exactly what other people go through. You know what I mean? It's like the news agencies and stuff. And I'm not trying to compare myself to the news agencies because this is far from it. But had I been able to go to Idaho at the very beginning of that case and been able to walk around and discuss, I'm pretty sure I would have got a lot of people's trust, because I have a way to talk to people face to face that kind of lowers that inhibition when we are talking about stuff. And regarding this case, let me speed it up a little bit to get where my friend comes in. There she is. So here we go. Let me speed it up just a little bit. Sure, to see this later, I'm more than confident of that. Let me pause it until she comes out. I did edit this, but you know, and here's my ride along buddy, Joy.
Hi.
I got some goodies, like I said. I said this is weird because you know those movies where they're filming, like they're filming stuff and then bad stuff happens.
Like Blair Witch Project?
Yes.
But that was just a movie.
Yeah, what do you think about what we're about to do? Are you kind of nervous?
Well, we're spending the first day of the year out at the killing field, so I'm looking.
My friend Joy is a professional model. She has modeled for a lot of years, and you know, we've met a long time ago, and we've been friends forever. And you know, she is a looker for sure, and she will be up on panel. She's been on panel before, but I don't know if y'all remember her or not. Okay, last bit of juice that I have. This used to be the old convenience store where Laura Miller and one of the other females made the phone call that we're never seeing again. They're about, I would say, a mile and a half from Calder Road, and there's I-45. You know, the thing about this location is it's not that far from the area where the two girls lived, and one was abducted from this location a year prior. That was Heidi. Laura Miller was a 16-year-old that was abducted while she was making a phone call to her boyfriend. She had asked her mom if she could go back to the store to make that phone call to her boyfriend. Her mom agreed, and you know, when Laura didn't show up, it kind of, you know, just like it does with any other missing person's case, it brings out the alarms and, you know, all the people involved in that person's lives. It brings them out into the forefront. So when Laura didn't show up, Tim Miller, who is the co-founder of EcoSearch here in Texas, instantly started calling the police. And I don't know if you guys know about what happens when a missing person is reported to the police department, but a lot of times if they're juveniles and over, you know, at least 16 years old, the crappiest thing that happens is the police tell the parents, well, this is about the age where people run away, or give it 48 hours. If they're an adult over 18, a lot of times they say, well, people are allowed to disappear. And they don't take it as serious as they need to. And I believe that that's one of the issues in this case. So let's continue on. Well, thank you very much. See you soon. Okay, we're making a U-turn, and there is the oil field area. And we're about to pass Robert Abel's old stable where his old house was, and he had a trail riding business here. As you can see, huh? I don't think so. As you can see, this is Robert Abel's old home.
And back there are the stables where he used to have the trail riding business. And they have searched this area of his home multiple times. He even cleared out part of the land of this with some of the searches. This is Urban Road. The Calder is on the other side, and we're about to go to the other side where the church is.
And one thing about this individual, I'm about to give you some more background about Robert, but the thing about it is there's two that were suspected in these crimes. The other person, his name is Hedrick. His last name is Hedrick. And he's going to be on a poster that we highlight here in a little bit. But Robert Abel was always suspected by Tim Miller as having something to do with this, especially when it came to his daughter. Here we go.
And as you can tell, it is not that far from where we're about to go, where the girls were dumped. Up the road here, you can definitely see how not much has changed back there. The forestry area. This man committed suicide on the railroad tracks due to Tim.
And Tim Miller had placed a shotgun to the head of Robert Abel at one point, and he had said, "What did you do to my daughter? What did you do to my daughter?" And he still maintained his innocence until the local people, they hounded him. They took it out on his business. And one fateful day, Mr. Abel drove his car onto the railroad tracks and committed suicide.
Miller and a lot of other accusations about him possibly being involved in the murders. You hear the gunshot? You hear that? Fireworks. Let me give you a little backstory about Robert Abel.
Yep.
Robert Abel was said by one of his first wives that he would abuse the animals, and then he was very violent individual, and he had a lot of pornography and pictures of young women.
A lot of the reason the father thought that bullets is because of the stable area, that he had the proximity, that he was interjecting himself in the crime scene. He was helping clear out land. He was always interjecting himself into the investigation. So, and also what I'm about to say about this man really gives you some kind of personality that this individual had. He used to beat his horses. He used to have a very angry temperament. He was into a lot of pornography. He was abusive to his wives, and all this stuff. So,
and police investigated that and also found that there was no tie to any of that would have been implicated him into being a potential suspect. But as you can see, this is his past residence. And we're about to go to where the girls were found.
And there's people that like are relatively close now, you know.
Right.
I'm going to give you two different perspectives of the camera image based on Joy having the camera right now, and I'm carrying the cell phone. And then we're going to swap off, and you're going to be able to see the difference in both of our views of what we're watching. So here we go. Let me know if you're enjoying this.
But yeah, back then, I don't know how, you know, how close people were. Yeah, back when all that was happening.
True. How was that? That's a small mattress right there.
So what was interesting about this location is we found two sets of mattresses out there. On one side, we found a small mattress that was made for like a children's bed, and on the other side, we found a full box spring and pillow top mattress. Both of them were gutted. We found a skin of a snake or some kind of reptile that was huge. It could have been an anaconda. I mean, it was huge. But it was interesting to say the least because, you know, while you're looking at all this stuff, you're looking to see if there's any kind of clue that may have been missed throughout the years. You know what I mean? Here we go.
This is the back side. The Boulder Road is in front of the church. This is the church that has spots on it. Two that made memorial out of the 4 girls. And we're about to show the girls' graves here in a minute.
And I'm going to wait for Joy to really give you her her type of reaction with this. But with me standing next to that fence gave me a perspective of this crime that I've never felt anywhere else. Like I was standing next to that fence, and you saw me. No, you saw me. I was standing next to that fence, and I was looking over there at that residence, and I was thinking to myself, you know, this is really some creepy stuff. Because when we first got to that location, there was no wind, there was no chill. It was probably about 70 degrees, right? We get to that parking lot, we get out of the vehicle, I start walking toward this fence, and all of a sudden there's such a cold wind that comes out of nowhere. And it kind of set the tone for the rest of the video footage. And I kept thinking to myself, you know, many times people don't understand what it's like to be at the actual location of where people died. It's one thing to see it on a video, it's one thing to see it on a still photo, it's one thing to hear about it, but when you actually are at that location, it takes you into the mindset of, you know what? People actually died here. There's actually 30 people that died at this location. And 4 I'm talking about today. So think about that a minute. You know, if you've never been to a crime scene such as this, it's very hard to understand. It's very difficult to put your perspective of your mind to say, you know, people actually died here. This is not just another farm. This is not just fields we're walking through. This is for all purposes still an active crime scene because they've never convicted anybody.
To the backside of Irvin Road, where Robert Abel lived, not far straight ahead. What we just showed you a while ago. Over 30 females have been dumped in this area from 1983 to 1981.
Messed up right there.
Along this
1981
Interstate 45, as you can hear the cars in the background, there was 11 girls that were murdered that started this whole process, just dumped. But these 4 were found.
Yes, and I'm talking about the 11. They were called the I-45 11 because it started with Colette Wilson. It started with a group of friends that were picked up together. They were hitchhiking. They were picked up supposedly by a van, a white van. And next thing you know, they're found in the Coulter Road fields. Not necessarily alive, but their remains are found. There was variations of this because they were, you know, throughout the year, the investigations have shown what Robert Abel drove and what, I think his name is James Hedrick, what he drove. James Hedrick was a convicted sex offender. So he maintains his innocence. And one thing for certain is it started with 11, and then these were the 4 that really brought the light to this field. As you can see, there's one of the memorials right here as we're walking toward the memorial area.
Not long. Together. And here's some unsolved. This case has never been solved. Laura Miller, her dad is Tim Miller.
Okay, his name is Clyde Hedrick. I don't know why. I've been messing up the names since I got out there. You know, Ellen Beeson was another one. Edie Fry, Audrey Cook, Laura Miller. This individual was a suspected serial killer, and he's in prison, I believe, still to this day. Not for these murders. Not
Bye.
for some.
Donna. Ellen Beeson. If you have any kind of information, be sure to call the FBI or Texas City office at 409-935-7327. Alleged serial killer Clyde Hedrick.
And like I said, running the camera, Joy's running the camera right now while I'm speaking. I'm going to be running myself on here a little bit, but not being able to see what another person is looking at is kind of intimidating. You know what I mean? Here we go.
Heidi was a waitress at a local honky tonk, and she was found naked, strangled, with her arms crossed. across their body, just like all the rest of you.
And I'm going to stop it right there. You can go and watch the rest of the video on my channel. I uploaded it today. So let me know what you think when you watch it. Let me know if you enjoy what we presented for you guys, because like I said, it's not easy to be out there filming this stuff, especially when you've never done it before. This is your first time. And obviously it shows, you know what I mean? It really shows, but I have no regrets whatsoever. You know, on this Monday night, I want to talk about just anything and everything. Because when I first started the channel, it was about true crime. It was about introducing myself to the YouTube communities. It was about, who is 12 Gauge? Who is this guy? What's he about? Is he going to be on our side? Is he going to be an independent person? Is he going to be able to fit in with us? And you know, a lot of times what I've learned throughout the years is that people alienate you very quickly if you are not part of their clique. And I learned that very fast. And I decided to branch off. And there for a while, my channel survived the branching off. I got new members, new mods, whatever. But the chat at this point is non-existent. You know what I mean? Non-existent. Which I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that because I've always said I will do this whether there's 100,000 people in the chat or there's one person in the chat. And obviously, the self-fulfilling prophecy, I had to eat my words and continue doing what I do regardless of how many people are here. You know, 2026, new year, no new me. It's just a continuum of the me that I've created all these years ago. You know, one thing that I know, like the back of my hand, is addiction. I know addiction, I know recovery, I know the symptoms, I know all that type of stuff. And I dabbled into true crime, not as confident as I am talking about addiction. Because when it comes to addiction, you know, I've worked with individuals with that struggle for a lot of years. I have a lot of friends that have overcame that struggle. I have a lot of individuals that I've known throughout time that have overcame their addictive process. You know, and it is a very delicate process a lot of times because people don't understand it. They don't understand it beneath the surface. All they understand is the surface level stuff. They understand what addiction does to families. They understand what it does breaking the law. They understand what it does to a lot of different avenues of life. But, you know, it's hard for people to understand exactly how it tears apart the foundation of many people's lives. And that's something that I've worked with for a very long time. So it's easy to just grab at it and discuss it. You know, it's easy to do. It's not difficult. But one thing that I noticed really on this platform is that there's a lot of people that don't want to talk about recovery. They don't want to talk about addiction. They want to talk about entertainment. They want to be entertained. And I get it. I get it wholeheartedly. But you would think the difference between a podcast, which that's what I'm labeling my stuff right now, um, is a podcast. It's not something for the masses. You know what I mean? It's just me getting on here and discussing what I know, not trying to influence anybody one way or the other, or even using other content in order to manifest um, what I'm about. You know what I mean? So when I'm talking about sports, or I'm talking about addiction, or I'm talking about eating food or certain things, it's easy for people to understand, hey, this is the main topic for tonight. We're going to talk about food. Okay. But when we're talking about true crime, what I've noticed is if it's not getting people's dopamine going, then most of the time people don't want to inter- interject themselves with the topic. And most of the time, as I've noticed throughout the years of doing this, if you look at a chat log, most people aren't even talking about what you're talking about on the screen. They're not. They're talking about what they had for food, what so and so is suffering with, you know, with their, illness, or they just had an MRI done, they're scared about cancer, they're this or that and the other. This is what they're talking about. Or you get the countless hellos, highs, how you been, good to see you, blah, blah, blah. Whereas as the person who's presenting something, you're watching all this go on as you're trying to stay focused. And many times it's easy for a lot of people to stay focused, but for me, I have such a short attention span. That's why I'm always fidgeting. Why you see me always fidgeting, grabbing the water bottle, grabbing the mic, readjusting it, sitting up, slouching down. My attention span is all over the place, especially when it comes to being live. You know what I mean? And that might drive people crazy. That might drive my audience crazy. And it's something that is who I am. And whenever we have these little ticks, is it really fair to say, well, I'm not going to watch this person because they do this or they do that? I don't watch certain people because I don't live in fantasy. I don't live in the fantasy world. But to a lot of people, their fantasy is their reality. So if they're talking about this being their reality, then damn, they're going to stand on that 110 toes down, you know? And they should, because, as people, as individuals, we should stand behind our beliefs, no matter what it is. And there's a lot of times when I see on these platforms people argue. They have very disrespectful antics. They have a lot of different things that, if you were face to face with these people, would they still treat you the same way? Have you ever asked yourself that question? If the person was in the room with me, they were right here next to me, would they be as comfortable to say what they're going to say as they are behind a screen and behind a keyboard? Most of the time, you'd get the answer and you'd be like, nah, they wouldn't. They wouldn't be that comfortable. But I've seen this happen since the Yahoo chat days. You know, when I don't know if any of you are old enough to remember those Yahoo chats or even AOL or any of that stuff when the internet first was kicking off. There was all these chat rooms where you were able to get into these topic chat rooms and discuss just about anything and everything you wanted to talk about. Well, I learned very quickly that those chat rooms were life in the fast lane. And for someone like me who is very analytical, very forthcoming, very, honest due to my recovery, living in a fantasy world, such as some of the chat rooms that I would visit, I would think to myself, is there something wrong with me? You know what I mean? I agree with you on that, PKC. I'm going to highlight your statement because I feel that. I feel like, man, what is the deal? What is it that causes me not to be as entertained by a bunch of arguments or reality TV type stuff? You know what I mean? And that's what those early chat rooms were all about. And then they allowed you to have the little camera where you could have a private conversation with somebody and you could both be on camera. And that was amazing, I thought. That was freaking amazing. I thought to myself, you know what? The ability to be able to talk to somebody and actually see who you're talking to, boy, this is groundbreaking. It gives you a whole new insight. You know what I mean? Yeah, AOL was a big one. Yahoo was a big one. They had MSN Messenger, MSN Chat. And it's easy to get addicted, and it was addicting. I'm going to use the word addicting because when you're in those chat rooms, your focus is about escaping your reality out here. You're in a world where you can be who you want to be, kind of like in here. Gage isn't my real name. 12's not my name. But it gives me an alter ego so that I can kind of, protect my interest in the real world. It gives you the ability to escape, and be who you are, without the fear of being found out who you really are. You know what I mean? The doxing stuff. But like I was saying, when you have those chat rooms early on, it led to more and more. It led to Skype. It led to Zoom. It led to all these things where we're very able to connect with humanity just by going live, just by getting on the computer and clicking a button. We're able to reach so many people and discuss so many different things, whether they agree with it or whether they don't. And that's a beautiful thing when it's used appropriately, when it's used with professionalism, or when it's used for the knowledge of other people to really understand the process of what certain things are rather than to have to guess. But being a therapist, I know this with everything that I am. I know this wholeheartedly. You can't change another person. No matter how hard you try to teach them something or try to, show them something different, unless it becomes their idea, they're going to be stuck on their own belief system. And that's, I believe, where a lot of these individuals who try to debunk other people or try to say other people are ignorant to the fact because they don't understand the process. They don't understand the process because they don't want to understand the process. Their needs are being met on what's in front of them at the moment, not where they want to go. Y'all understand what I'm saying? Y'all get what I'm talking about? You know, if my agenda was just to get on here and reach the masses about global warming, I would be for or against. Now, if I was for it, making you believe that global warming is a harmful thing and we are so many years from not being around anymore due to our habits and our vehicles and everything else, there would be people in the chat room that believe the same way. Now, if I was the other way, might not be so much because it's not a popular debate. Kind of like with the death penalty. And this is an example that there I go again, setting up. This is an example that I want you to think about when it comes to these cases in true crime. And I never thought about this. But is it really more about the cops not doing their job? Or is it that people don't want to see people put to death anymore? You get what I'm saying? Do people just not want to see people put to death? And is that their stance? Is that their fight? Is that their, or is it, do people not want to see mentally ill people put to death? Or do they feel that these people don't have a voice and they need to be that voice? You get what I'm saying? It's like, I really do wish that people would be that descriptive when they're debating something. It's to say, you know what, I'm anti-death penalty. I don't believe in it. I don't believe that people should die regardless of what crime they commit. Does that make sense at all? Because if you have that stance, then you're going to go hardcore in one direction or the other. So if you're pro death penalty, you're going to be like, you know what? Commit the crime, you do the time. Everything is cut and dry. You know, we got the right person. I don't care what you say. Do you get what I'm saying? Do you understand what I'm talking about? So you get multitudes of individuals. You get multitudes of individuals that believe the same way. Or even if they don't believe it, they believe it because their friends that they made on the internet believe in that direction. They feel popular. They feel the creators or the host of the live calling their name out. They get to send money to the channel to make it grow, to make the audience grow, and all this other stuff. It makes somebody who has no semblance of a life outside the internet, it makes them feel important. It makes them feel valued. And it's, as a human being, that's what we long for. We long to be made feel important. That is one of the basic needs, to be a part of rather than part from. So if you're in a chat and you feel like you're part of whatever they're talking about, whether your agreement is in what the host is talking about, or your buddies, 10 of them that you become close to, agree with what the host is talking about, how are you ever going to go against them? Even in your heart, you know there's a possibility that this isn't true. I'm not going to speak up because I'll get thrown out of the bar, out of the club, whatever you want to call it. I'll get thrown out of the community. If you listen to the wording that people use, these are the words that draw people in. One of the biggest words that people use is family. It's the same concept as the gang mentality. Gangs want you to feel accepted. They want you to feel like a part of family. They want you to feel like you're important, like you matter, like without them, you're out there in the wilderness all by yourself. You're not gonna survive. So if you have that kind of mentality that you need other people in order to be strong, then you're never gonna go against anything that's gonna get you thrown out there in the wilderness all by yourself. You're gonna do and be what the rest of the people are in that family, in that community. Me, I've been parts of sport teams all my life. I've been an athlete all my life. I've been part of, therapists. I've been part of boards where, we vote on important things. Been part of all those hierarchies. One thing that I've learned about those hierarchies is they will replace you very quickly if you don't go along with the status quo. If you create chaos, they will do everything in their power to destroy you. They will vote somebody else in. They'll get you gone. So even in human existence out here outside of the internet, there are individuals playing the role. Playing the role to fit in, to be a part of rather than apart from. And what you must ask yourself is, at what expense are you doing this? Is it financial? Is it mental? Is it lack of coping skills to not get real friends out here in society? Because you have to ask yourself, there's a lot of people that tune in daily to these shows. Hell, I had a lot of people tune in every time I came on. People would come in and they'd talk and they'd say, hello, how you been, blah, blah, blah. And I always wondered, okay, kind of like PKC, I got to know her routine just based on what she said. PKC's routine would be that she would make dinner for her husband while listening, or making dinner, eating with her husband, and then sitting down and chilling and catching up very fast on what the live was about, hanging out for a little bit, and then signing off. Because she is on a coast where everything is, like right now, it is 10 o'clock here where I'm at. It is probably 8 o'clock where she's at. So you get used to these routines and you learn about your chatters. You learn about the people who you call family, who you call a community. What's dangerous is there are people that are unstable in these communities. And I'm not talking about the host. There you go. Hey, Broken by Design. Nice to see you. I cheated tonight. Got dinner in town and brought it home. Okay. So, but am I on point about what I'm talking about as far as a routine? You know, we all have a routine. You know, most of my lives only go an hour for a reason. Because anything after an hour, unless you're juggling cats or you're stripping, people have lost all interest for sure. They really have. They're at that point where they're just like, man, I don't care what he's talking about. This is boring or this is interesting, whatever. He has my attention. But let's get back to the community thing. Let's get back to the community, the family, you know, stuff like that. Yeah, there's not going to be any stripping tonight, thank God. Um, let's get back to the community thing. You know, if we feel important where we're at, if we enjoy the vibe, we enjoy the people that are there with us, there's nothing wrong with that. That's what we are as people in general. We're sociable creatures. Where it becomes dangerous is when you have individuals in these chats that either have been awake for so long that they start to their mental health issues start to show based on what they chat about, what they type about. Not that there's anything wrong with it. You know what? They're showing up, they're doing what they got to do. But we've heard of people that get fixated on certain creators. I doubt they'll ever get fixated on me. I'm not that special. An older dude, so whatever. But these younger hosts that are, that they have beauty and they have charisma and they give a lot about themselves. We've heard about these hosts that have been killed by obsessed fans, by people that actually believe that they're a part of this person's life. I've had people call me friend, I've had people call me buddy, I've had people call me family. I've had people email me, I've had people, email me with problems, blah, 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 this, that, and the other. And I used to want to help people going through their stuff. But one thing I realized is you only know a portion of the struggle that these people are showing you. They're showing you the most detrimental part of their struggle. And they want the quick fix. I've had people on open panels. Let me go ahead and put the link up here. So if anybody wants to come up here within reason, let's have you up here. I haven't done this in a long time. But I'll do it tonight. There's the link. Almost put myself in timeout. Like I was saying, you get to that point into your mental health where you're struggling, you're depressed, you're anxious, you're looking for the dopamine release because that's what happens whenever we feel happy, when we feel part of, when we feel like people accept us, like people really want to know who we are and what we're about. We get excited for that. It's almost like a new relationship. When you start talking to somebody, you feel amazing after the initial awkwardness of getting to know them. You start to feel amazing. You start to feel a connection, if there is one. You start to look forward to talking to them. You start to look, um, you start to look forward to hearing from them. But you know what? At one point, it's very dangerous to get so enmeshed in somebody else that you start to lose yourself. You start to lose yourself. And I know everybody who's either going to watch this on replay or watching it right now, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You start to lose yourself in this other person, where if you're having a bad day, you stop having the ability to make yourself happy and you start looking for that other person to give you a little bit of dopamine release so that you feel better about your day. We all do it, especially young people, because, you know, after a point when you're young, you look for somebody else to quote unquote complete you or make you happy, right? At least that's what they used to tell Gen X, right? You know, they complete me. All the love songs, everything about being with somebody was about that completion of the circle. Take yin to your yang, you know? I like that, Walt. Show your face, not your waist. I like that. I'm glad you're in here, Walt. You and PKC, you are loyal, man. I'm Broken by Design Studio. I've never seen you before, but thank you for being in here as well. You know, it's good to actually be talking to people that, you know, showing up. They want to be here, right? Let me stay on course here. My attention span wavers off, like I said. Um, you know, whenever we get to that point where we need that other person to make us happy, that's when it becomes unhealthy. Whether it be on these platforms, whether it be a case we're following, whether it be something about somebody else that we're looking into, when it becomes all about that, and we start to neglect our daily duties, such as being a husband, a wife, a brother, a son, and so on and so on, that's when it becomes unhealthy. And that's when it becomes, as we say, an addiction. There are a lot of people addicted to this. They won't ever admit it. And the hosts usually they play on it too. They really do. I've missed you guys so much. I haven't seen you in days, blah blah blah. And people that are part of the family say, well, we missed you too, and blah blah blah. How is that unhealthy? It becomes unhealthy because what if something happens that you're not able to get on that internet anymore? Or you have that physical problem where you're all alone in a bed because you can't get on the net, you're hurting, you have an illness, whatever. You're not close to your family, you're not close to any friend out in society, and the only people that you call friends are these people on this internet. You're not getting that dopamine release like you normally do every day at 9:30 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, whatever time it is that you log on to your daily channel that you watch. You're not getting that because you're sick. You're incapable of getting up and being involved and plugging into the person that makes your day. So what happened to that person? They sit there and deteriorate mentally. They deteriorate mentally because they're incapable of fighting the fight for themselves because they're so used to somebody else showing up and then plugging in and being, you know, allowing them to feel better about themselves because they're watching a certain channel. You know what I mean? Is this making sense, y'all? I mean, I know I'm talking a lot, but is this making sense to you guys? I know PKC always gets me. I had that problem last night. Spilled my coffee on my keyboard, so was up all night trying to clean it. Still sticky. Of course. Of course. You know, there's some of you that have been following me since day one. PKC, Aquarius. Haven't seen Aquarius in a while. Walt became one of the individual, one of my mods. You know, they show up. I guess they're the ones that are giving my videos likes, among some other people that used to show up that don't anymore, which I know that they've had health issues. So you can't very well expect people to drop what they do and show up all the time. You know what I mean? So, and how does this affect you mentally? How does this affect you mentally? It affects you mentally because you believe that these individuals in these chats, the host, whoever it might be, honestly cares about you. How is that unhealthy? Like I said, let's say you don't have any family, you log on to these things to get some kind of interaction with society, which is nothing wrong with that. But how can it play on your mental health? Let's say that you don't believe in what the host is talking about and you go against it a little bit. And then the host and the chat start to turn on you a little bit. Then you have to have a gut check. Am I going to stay in here or am I going to leave the channel and go somewhere else where people are actually a lot more friendly? I've been told by people who are no longer in the chat, you know what, this channel is friendly, at this, that, and the other, and they're no longer here. So who's to say the friendliness and everything else didn't outweigh whatever the reason was that they left? And people will leave you, and that's a given. That is a given. I'm not foolish enough to think that people are going to stay logged into, for one, I'm a male. For two, I'm an older male discussing life. You know what I mean? Discussing true crime, discussing it in the way of my understanding, discussing cases the way of my understanding. I'm willing to bend that there could be possibly corruption or whatever. You know, those type of things don't go well. Walt said, sadly, there are other creators out there who may or may not be white rappers who live out of a rented car, showering at a 24/7 gym facility. Mental health can make people fall from grace. Everybody's going to get there. What happened in this community that I've been prevalent to see, because I still watch people. I may not comment in the chat because I don't need that camaraderie, but I still watch from time to time until I'm incapable of following those people any further. Is there's a tripod, a triangulation of strength. If I can't do it alone, I'm going to link up with you, talk, link up, be on your panel as much as I can to get not only my followers to go to yours, but your followers to come to mine. And before long, we have the same people watching the same show. You know what I mean? I didn't know that at the beginning of a channel that that's what you needed to do in order to make it. But I'm happy today. I really am. I'm happy because I can talk about what the hell I want to talk about. And either people show up or they don't. And either way, YouTube still gets paid, right? As long as I don't use something that has been created by somebody else. As long as I manipulate it into a form that it is not the original thing. And what you'll notice in the Texas killing field video that I was just showing, I did just that. I clipped out a video that I did before, and I clipped it out and and just chopped it all up and put it in out of sequence. No problem. No problem. Like I said, as long as I've been here, I would think that I would know certain things, but I would know these things if this was my primary focus in life. I've had a person say, "Hey, we're family." And I've said, "No, we're not family. I don't love you. I don't, all this stuff." And they got offended. Because in reality, my family is my family. And what I've seen on these platforms is those people that call you friend, those people that call you brother, those people that say certain things that may mean that we're close, all it takes is one little thing for you to piss them off and they're off and running. They might watch you, but they'll never be in your chat again, because what if word gets around that they were in your chat when they follow all these other people? Like, I was looking at my subscribers and I was like, man, I didn't even know this person subscribed to me. I had no idea this person subscribed to me. I had no idea this person subscribed to me, because they'd never been in a chat, but they still watch. So that makes me believe that either A, they enjoy what I talk about, or B, they find it knowledgeable, or C, it pisses them off enough for them to keep coming back. Well, it's probably C, because I'm pretty good at that. I'm pretty good at pissing people off, because most people try to strong arm you. And if you know anything about me, at least on this panel and in real life, I will not be strong armed by anybody. That's just my boundary. And I bet y'all have the same type boundaries. I bet you don't let people push you around. I bet people are not just going to tell you, hey, you need to do this, that, and the other, or this will happen. If it's not real life, this isn't real life to me. Like I said, 12 is not my name, Gage is not my name, but I enjoy the name when I use it on this panel. I enjoy creating the ambiance, like us, the fire burning right now. I enjoy creating the songs and the intros and all that other stuff. I enjoy that. Now, I even enjoy clipping videos from time to time. Even though I'm not anywhere near an expert, I enjoy it. I probably watch thousands of videos before I ever comment in chat. Still don't comment and all. That's fair. There's a lot of people that don't comment in chat, The fire is much better than one burning on a 32-inch screen behind you. I'm not going to say anything about that comment. Well, and he knows how I feel about that. So it is what it is. But you know what? Hopefully this channel starts to kind of revamp into a podcast where I'm able to come on here, where I'm able to have different guests. Just sit here and just bounce ideas off of, because that's all I've ever wanted. All I've ever wanted is a podcast where I could sit there and ask questions. You can ask questions. We sit there and talk back and forth. I didn't want all that other stuff, but it kind of engulfed you. The Idaho 4 stuff did engulf me. There for a while, I was addicted to it. I was putting out a video every night. And those of you who have followed me can attest to that. I was putting out a video every night. For what? For what? Did my videos make a difference? Did my thoughts make a difference? Did my stances, did my rage, all that stuff, did it make a difference? Because in reality, people come and go in life. We've lost people in this community. They're no longer here. Their pages, just like their house probably is, empty, dark, without life. All those people that went to that house to feel a part of don't ever go anymore. Don't leave comments on their old lives or anything like that. Because to them, they found a new house to go hang out at. This one's dark. This person's dead. Let's move on to another house. And that is life. That is life. You know, I was thinking last night as I was about to go to the grocery store, I was thinking to myself, you know what? I should go have a conversation with my parents. You know, they're older, they're still alive. I should have a conversation with them and tell them, thank you for lying to me about everything, about trying hard, about success, about all of it. Because in reality, the more successful you are doesn't always mean the effort that you give. The monetary compensation does not always equal the service that you give. You know what I mean? I hope that you understand what I'm saying. Like, there are people that on TikTok, kids, they're making videos and they're getting paid an astronomical amount of money by them just making silly videos. And then you have someone who goes to college and has a master's and a bachelor's and PhD and so on. And they're drowning in student loan debt. And they're drowning in bills and they're drowning in family stuff and everything else. So tell me how that is an equal playing field. It is not. There's people that call themselves doctors and investigators and forensic pathologists and all this stuff online. And they don't even have a GED. They quit school in the 8th grade. They call themselves, what is that word that we were using for a while? First responders. You know, they call themselves all kinds of stuff. They call themselves paralegals. They call themselves investigative journalists. They call them, you know, they call their people who they have on their staff, you know, this is my media person, this is my producer, this is so-and-so, and this is so-and-so. I've heard it all over YouTube, so I'm not just talking about one person. And I'm thinking to myself, I wonder if these people really have the background that they actually understand the whole concept, or did they teach themselves this stuff and that's what they call themselves? It's kind of like in the old days, if you were a certified nurse today, there was people that would call themselves nurses. And there are some nurses that say, well, I have the same knowledge as a nurse practitioner, so therefore I might as well be one. I do everything they do except prescribe medication. Do you get what I'm talking about? I'm self-employed. That's another word for whatever it might mean. Self-employed used to mean, you know, you sold dope for a living. You did illegal things. You got your money on the hustle. You know what I mean? So I've never been a big fan of labels. I never have. Labels are just something that people use to feel important. I have multiple acronyms after my name. When I sign my name, I have all these letters behind it that I'm able to sign because I paid the pot, because I paid the price. But I also have the debt to have those letters. And what the sad part is people don't believe in people that paid the price to gain the knowledge to actually understand the concept these days. They don't. They want to hear from the people who Google stuff and chat GBT and all this AI stuff. They heard it from a video or they stole it from this, that, and the other. And by the way, psychology is just that. Sociology is just that. I never knew that until I started taking a lot of those courses. It's like, why do I have to learn about this person's theory and this person's theory and this person's theory? Because all they did is one person started it, the next person elaborated a little more, the next person elaborated, this person elaborated, wrote a book, you know, all this stuff. Now you have to learn all these different theories because one person started it and everybody else just amended the knowledge. Which is interesting, but I always wondered why. Why do we have to learn the amended stuff? But that's how life is, right? We got to constantly keep learning about different things in order to stay in the race. Do y'all remember when they used to tell us, get a college degree? Because with a college degree, you'll be much more enticing than the person that just got a high school diploma. And then they told you get a high school diploma because you'll be a lot more enticing to the employer than the person that didn't finish school. Somehow or another, all that has been broken down to the point where you could be somebody who dropped out of school in 8th grade, making 6 figures a year, and not know how to read, not know how to enunciate words, not know the process of how life really works. But you're making 6 figures for a lot of people, that equals success. What do y'all think? Do you think that equals success? You're as dumb as a bucket of rocks, but yet you're making 6 figures or 7 figures most of the time. You think that equals success? And does that equal success in your mindset? However much money somebody makes, that means that they're capable of solving the world's problems. If I valued my life at what YouTube values my content, I would have ended it a long time ago. YouTube's a joke. And anybody who tells you otherwise is lying to you. YouTube is a joke. If you don't have over 500,000 followers to 1 million, you're not making any money. Hell, I almost have 10,000. And last month check was $118, which I'm going to have to pay taxes on. You know? And sometimes I bust my ass on these things, you know? I really do put a lot of effort in on them. But in 2026, I'm just gonna chill, man. I'm just gonna chill. And I'm just gonna get on here and I'm just gonna talk. Because that's what I'm good at. That's what I'm good at doing, talking. I'm not a professional bullshitter because I actually make sense in most of the stuff that I talk about. I can break down certain theories and things like that and get analytical. But who wants to hear all that shit? In reality, who really wants to get on a live stream and listen to somebody dissect the mental capacity of why people commit murder? In reality, people don't want to know why. They should want to know what, when, where, and how. The why is never understood. It's never going to make sense. The Idaho case can go on for decades. Brian's going to do at least 10 years, and people are still going to try to just be saying that he needs to be free and walking the streets. They're still going to be capping on the Gonsalves family. They're still going to be capping on Dylan and Bethany, even though they might have families of their own at that point. They're still going to be capping on a lot of things. And as long as they have a community, as long as they have that family unity, you can call it anything you want. Anything gathered with more than 2 or 3 people, then you have some kind of social structure that you view as more important than it may or may not be. This isn't a true crime community. This is a backstabbing community. It is a community based on lies, based on revenge, based on people trying to destroy other people and their integrity. That's what this community is. It's not true crime. True crime is what I started this video with, an actual crime scene. You know? I showed you where an actual crime scene was. And I'm so glad that I went out there because it changed my whole perspective on everything that I've been doing on this channel. Those 4 people or those 30 people that died on that field deserve all the utmost respect. And their families who are grieving probably to this day because they've never found the killer. It's never about justice. It's never about closure. Because how can you lose somebody you love at the hands of another person who didn't have the right to take them and eventually be okay with that? That takes a lot of moral fortitude. It really does. I'm not going to get on here and talk about families because these families are strong in most of these cases. And they will persevere. But one thing for certain is they'll never bring their loved ones back. No amount of money, no amount of GoFundMe's, no amount of anything is going to bring their loved one back. The 19-year-old that just died out of San Antonio. You think her mom wants the money from the GoFundMe? You think her dad wants that? If you really think that money overcomes grief, then that shows where your mindset is. It's on the money. I don't know anybody who'd rather have their family member than stacks and stacks of money. I've lost family members to crime. I told you I have a second generation cousin who was gunned down by a police officer in Austin, Texas. Today is the day that it happened. Not today, but today's date, probably 3 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago. We weren't close, so it's not like I know all the details down to the second. Another one died in Austin from being stabbed and ambushed. Would I rather have those people back? Of course, because I can see how it affected their families. I saw in one how it affected his son. His son deteriorated with drugs and alcohol and criminal behavior. He even went to spend time in prison because of his choices. Like I said, going to a crime scene really changes your perspective of the whole process. Being in a courtroom, which I'm able to do these days, changes your perspective of everything. Because for years, all I've heard is people on these channels talk about their experiences with law enforcement, judges, all this stuff. Not crime related, but still, a little girl was injured during a fireworks show. It's terrible. Anything that has to do with people and humanity being hurt, it is a crime. Might not be a crime committed by another person, but it's a crime against humanity, and that validates it. One thing that you can never say about my channel is I don't care about humanity. Sometimes I care about it more than I should. And that's part of the reason I am a therapist and a juvenile probation officer. Because I want to see people change their perspective in life, because even though I know that I can't make that change for them, doesn't mean that I'm not going to try. One thing I can tell you about my recovery process out of my addiction is I used to hate people. And from time to time, I still, that part of me rears its ugly head. Hate is a big, ugly, vicious word. To hate another person means that you have no concept of where they begin, where they end, or whether they exist. I went from hating humanity to wanting to give back to it because I took so much. That's why when I see people leeching on other people, it infuriates me. Because like they say, you spot it, you got it. So if there's anything I say or do on my channel that pisses you off, might be because you're looking in the mirror and somebody's talking back at you. Fireworks were so loud that windows broke. Dang. She almost lost her eye. I think she was 6 or 7 and autistic. That's terrible. I hope she heals soon. Young ones are being hurt so fast in our society these days. And not only are adults preying on them, people are preying on them. Happy New Year, Melissa. Hope you had a great one. Hope your new year was awesome. 2026 is going to be an awesome year. 2025 was so-so. 2026 is going to be a good year. Kind of like the older people say, every day above ground's a good day. That's how I feel. You know, there are some people that I called friends on this platform that I do kind of miss cutting up with. That I miss them being in the chats. That I miss them, having insight, camaraderie with other people. So if you people still listen to this, either on replay or whatever, you're more than welcome to come back and chat with the people that are still here. I have no ill feelings toward anybody who has ever been in these chats. The ones that I did have ill will towards, I blocked them. And they're blocked. So if you're not blocked, come on back, Oh, well, you sly dog, you. Melissa, you want to come up on panel? You want to talk to me for a little while? I mean, I'm not quite done yet. I guess last night I had 6 hours of sleep. I can do the same tonight, right? You want to come up on panel? Here's the link. You don't even have to be on camera. You can just talk to me off camera if you want. We're not really talking about anything in particular. We're definitely not talking Idaho 4. So we're talking about life in general. I just would like somebody up here on panel to, bounce stuff off of. So there's the link if you'd like. Or anybody who'd like to come up on panel and just talk to me, feel free. The invitation's not there very often. It's because I would get a lot of different type people up on these panels. And most of the time I was being serious. So their serious and my serious just didn't match up. Yeah, 2026. Yes. Undo your bladder and then you can come up on panel. I've been on these live streams up to 4 or 5 hours at a time in 2025, 2024. Like I said, for what? For what? I look back on some of the videos that I used to do, and I'm like, man, bro, was that really you? Were you really that passionate about something that you felt in your gut would actually make a difference? I'm not saying that I don't have passion in my life. I'm just talking about having passion about one particular case. That passion left me a long time ago. If y'all see Aquarius out there in these chats or you see her channel, I don't even see her channel pop up anymore. Let her know I'm thinking about her. Always worry about Aquarius, not because of any other reason that, sometimes she had some tough times. So if you're watching or if you're listening on replay, Aquarius, I hope everything is well. You're still mod, by the way. So hope everything's okay. That's another thing as far as these lives and these podcasts and everything. You get used to seeing certain people in your chats. And when you don't see them for a while, you wonder, where did those people go? Did they get a job that prevents them from being on these lives as much? Are they living their lives? without being on YouTube? They get tired of it. If y'all see Mountain Mama out there, let her know I'm thinking about her and keep her in my prayers daily. I know she was having some health problems. Bullets, I know that you're having some health problems. I hope that you get to feeling better, that it heals. Because nothing's worse than being down during the coldest part of the year. Here in Texas, we haven't reached that yet, but eventually we will. There's a lot more that I can think of that I don't see anymore. Common sense, if you're out there, I didn't leave you hanging earlier. I was trying out the YouTube live and I didn't like it. So I had to come over here. I don't know. There's a lot of them, a lot of people. But I get you get tired of the drama, get tired of the back and forth every day. And those people that don't, it makes you wonder, do you have anything really of importance going on that you enjoy this drama so much? You get what I'm saying? Do you hear me? Clear to you? Is this thing on? We've had a lot of things happen in 2025. The playoffs are about to begin next week. Looks like my team is going to be one and done. They lost the last 2 games. Played like a high school team that couldn't beat a JV team. So I don't see them advancing past the wild card. But it was a lovely season regardless, because I really didn't see them winning more than 5 games this year, and they proved me wrong. Won 11-6. So if you're a football fan, playoff time is around the corner. One thing I hope to do is be a better person in 2026. Not only to other people, but to myself. Because like I've talked about multitudes of times, we are our own worst enemy most of the time. Nobody can hurt us worse than we can hurt ourselves. You just click on the link. Make sure your mic's on. You can turn your camera off if you want. And then come backstage and I will let you up on stage. I'm glad you're brave enough to do this. Many people wouldn't be, but I'm glad you are. While you're getting that done, let me turn the heater on because it's here. Come on, Melissa, you got this. Just click on the link and follow the prompts. I don't know where my backdrop went. Oh, I'm all stealth camera. You got this. Come on. Click on the link. Follow the prompts. If you're on your phone, it's probably going to take you to a place where it says enter stage. And you got to make sure that you turn on your mic. You don't have to turn on your camera, but turn on your mic. I don't see you. Do any of y'all like croissants? I love croissants by themselves with nothing else but a croissant. For whatever reason, a croissant has a different taste to it than all other stuff. All other bread products. Melissa's trying. I know the last time you forgot, or you tried to get on, it was hard for you to stay on here. It's the best. It's the best. I don't know what it is about it, but I could just get croissants, spread some cream cheese on it, put cheese in it. I mean, chicken salad, whatever. Not good for you, but you know, most of the stuff that isn't, most of the stuff that we enjoy. I don't know what happened to my background. I'm not getting back on cam because I'm getting comfy, you know, so that means the shirt came off. Uh-oh, there she is.
Am I here?
Let me, yes, you're here. There she is. Wow. Uh-oh, there she is.
Sorry. I can't find my real glasses, so sorry.
Turn your TV down a little bit, please.
I gotta turn something off. I can't find my real glasses, so sorry.
Turn your TV down a little bit.
Turn TV down. I gotta turn something off.
So what's going on?
Not much. Now I can't hear you, but I wonder if I could turn the TV up a little bit, if it'd be all right.
Yeah, you can turn it up a little bit, but if you turn it up too loud, it'll put an echo.
It's good to see you. You caught me in a sober moment, so I'm here.
All right. All right. So how was your New Year's?
It was okay.
It's okay.
It was
Did you
all
do
right.
anything?
I didn't do much. Kind of wanted to keep to myself.
Yeah.
How was yours?
It was pretty good. I went I don't know if you know where Fort Worth is in Texas, but I was downtown Fort Worth at the stockyard, and they have an area called Sundance Square. They had live bands and fireworks at midnight. It was pretty cool. You look different than I remember.
I'm getting old.
No, that's not what I meant. You just look different. You look,
Well,
maybe it's,
I don't know what I look
you
like.
don't have the glasses on. That's what it is.
I'm I don't look the same in every picture, so
Excuse me. So, have you heard of
hey,
the
12
Texas?
kids, let me ask you
Yeah.
a question. How do I hear only my computer doesn't turn up very loud. I'm getting an echo in my own room.
Hold on a second.
You know I don't know shit about this shit.
Do you have echo canceling on your stuff?
I have no idea. I never talk to anybody.
Let me see if mine is on. Let me turn down my mic. Can you still hear me? Can you hear me?
I can hear you very quietly. I wonder if I mute my TV if I'll hear you better maybe.
Well, no, I turned down my mic. It was I wanted to see if it was my mic that was giving you the echo. How about now? Is that better?
No.
Oh, okay. Well,
It's
you
okay.
still
I
hear?
can hear you a little bit. It's
Okay.
fine. I can't see, I can't hear. We'll make it.
Well, I'm glad that you still come to the channel. I mean, there's a lot of people used to come that don't anymore. I'm glad you still come over
Uh,
to check it out.
I think you're a cool dude.
I appreciate that. Appreciate that. What kind of beer are you drinking?
My favorite beer.
Bush Ice.
Yeah, and I drink a lot of beer. I brew beer, and I love this fucking beer.
You know what, Melissa? One of my worst times was drinking not Bush Ice, but regular Bush beer.
Bush Ice is even better.
I think it was,
The flavor.
I think actually it might have been um, on a New Year's Day. I was probably 18, and we didn't have a lot of money, and we were having a New Year's party, right? And
And this is the beer for you, too.
no,
You can't brew it for what you buy it for at the store.
no, I don't drink
Basement.
anymore. I don't drink anymore. But it's no big deal that you do. I mean, it's cool. But what I was saying is, I got so intoxicated, I started vomiting, right? I needed to vomit.
Off a beer?
Yeah, and I went into
2 beers?
we were having
You were
fun.
poisoned.
We were funneling the beers. And instead of vomiting in the toilet, I vomited in the sink in the bathroom and filled it up with vomit. Didn't realize it till the next morning. Pretty disgusting, I know, but I'm sure I'm not the only one who's ever done that. So what do you like about beer so much?
I don't know. I just realized I wasn't an alcoholic like a couple years ago. I didn't even know my whole life. I just always wanted.
Yeah. Well, just because I don't drink doesn't mean that I'd look down on anybody that does or anybody that, might
Say
have.
that again?
I said, just because I don't drink, I don't look down on people that do.
Oh no, I mean I really didn't know. Like I had to cut I had to go to non-alcoholic beer to fix my liver, and it was like there was no difference. I I didn't know that about myself. I just
Yeah.
except that the
So
non-alcoholic beer will make you fatter. So
does
now that my liver
non-alcoholic beer taste the same as regular beer?
it's good. Yeah, I mean, luckily we have the Jenny NA here. It's very much it's very much the same price, and it to me it tastes delicious. I love it because I can drink it anywhere.
Okay.
I'm like,
Nothing wrong with that.
but a little can will get me. So yeah, I'll drink the fuck out of like beer. But
How many have
so
you had tonight?
I know I feel exactly. It's really weird. I didn't expect that. I just feel it. I guess it doesn't really matter about the alcohol. I mean, I didn't have any form of kind of withdrawal or anything. I was terrified.
Yeah.
I just
I think most regular beer has like 5 to 7%, and light beer probably has about, I guess, 3.5%.
it well nowadays, but it's a little different. But you mean you can you can make a beer 32% if you want. You
Right.
just gotta hide the sugar and the
Yeah.
flavor. The
Yeah.
hardest beers to make are the ones like a Helles that's very clean, like a Coors Light. That's hard to brew because any little mistake you make is gonna show.
Yeah. Well, honestly, I wasn't much of a beer drinker. My drinking choice was Jack. I like Jack Daniels. I was a bourbon drinker.
Oh, I love putting that shit in eggnog and then have a beer.
Yeah.
It's how I connected my ancestors. 12 gauge.
So do you drink any hard liquor, or is it straight beer?
I don't really care about hard liquor. I mean, my liver probably doesn't eat it, but like I said, I do love that eggnog.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I
Um,
love the eggnog without the hard liquor. I mean, I'm an eggnog fan.
yeah, it's better with the liquor and the beer
Eggnog and beer? I don't think I've ever had
next
that.
to each other. Of course, I'll wait. I'll wait for it.
I don't think I've ever had that.
So good. The bubbles on your tongue cuts through like the fat.
So here's the question for you, and this is kind of like an unofficial um, toll. Do you drink beer for the taste, or do you drink it for the intoxication?
Say that one more time.
Do you drink it for the taste, or to
I
get
drink
drunk?
any beer as long as it's carved.
Do you drink it to
I'll
get
suck it
drunk?
out the swallow with the straw as long as
Okay.
it's still carved.
Okay.
Nah, man. I just like beer.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing
Um,
wrong with that. Like I
I didn't
said,
know that. I
I'm
didn't
not
know that
judging.
until I had to switch to non-alcoholic. And nothing was different. It was kind of bizarre because I drink a lot. I felt the same. I got lucky. I got lucky on that, I guess.
Yeah, if I wouldn't have quit drinking, I wouldn't be here right now. I don't think I would have had cirrhosis. But I was drinking so much. So much.
Well, you'd still be on Earth, babe.
I'm actually scared of it. You know what I mean? I'm scared of what it will do to it.
That's what I've heard from people about a lot of different things.
I had a fascination with uppers for a while too.
You had a fascination with what?
With uppers, you know, like meth.
Peppers. Oh, is that?
Yeah, ephedrine.
Oh God. My 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 tree climber friend liked those, and he would just go berserk on them. I hated it when he did them.
Yeah.
I'd be driving, he'd be like, get the fuck off me.
It's interesting how it makes people act, right?
Get the fuck off me. What'd you do for New Year's? Oh shit, I don't know. I did a puff once and I like snapped my gold necklace and I was just like on the other side of the room all of a sudden. I'm pretty fast apparently. I'm so fast, dude, it's not funny. I didn't do it again because I was just like, that's what Jeff's like. Yeah,
You still
I don't need my brain. I just do.
you still watch Viviana?
Huh?
Do you still watch Viviana?
Watch what?
Viviana.
Viviana.
For fuck's sake, with Viviana. I used to see you comment on her stuff sometimes.
I don't know. My head's so far up Idaho's ass. If we were at war, I wouldn't know it.
Yeah.
I don't do
Well,
much.
I really appreciate you hopping on. I think I'm gonna call it a night. I've been on here for 2 hours.
I have a lot of problem in the chats because I read real slow.
It's okay. No big deal. I'm glad that you're here.
It's hard for me to catch people's names and what they say.
Right. It's understandable. Well, you take care of yourself, okay?
You too, babe.
Have a good night.
You too.
All right. Well, that was Melissa, and Melissa has been up on our panel before. I know there's Melissa D, and then there's this Melissa, but this Melissa was here before. She was up on our panel once. She was wearing glasses though, and the lighting was different. So, yeah. But like I said, we always have a good time here, and there's nothing wrong with people doing what they want to do in life, especially if they're adults. You know what I mean? I'm never the moral police of YouTube on that retrospect. But I think I'm going to call it a night. Been on here for a while. Y'all have a wonderful, beautiful rest of your Monday or Tuesday, whatever it is. If you're at work right now or you're watching this on replay, keep up the good fight. I'm not going to give you the rah-rah speech because by this point in life, you probably know everything that's ever been said to you is bullshit to an extent. But whatever gets you through, right? Every day above ground is a beautiful day. Those of you in chat that stuck with me the whole time, thank you so much for being here. PKC, Walt, Melissa, and some of the other ZZ Top, I guess the name was. Thank you so much for being here. Maestro, cue that music.
They say we're living fast, but what they really mean is we're running from something. The streets got stories, cold ones, scary ones, and out here truth don't sleep. I seen good men lose their way, Killers turn to ghosts in justice. Take too long to answer the call. But this
is 12 gauge Ennis.
where every case pleads true.
Every file got a heartbeat.
And every cold trail still got smoke rising.
We talking about living fast, dying young. We're fighting to live right now.
Cause legends don't fade. They echo through the evidence, through the crime scenes, through every voice that never got heard. This ain't entertainment, it's real life reloaded.
Welcome to 12 gauge Ennis.